hard to say no. It's like one of the smallest words, right? 2 letters, and it can be incredibly, monumentally difficult to say no. Well, as women, we're often taught, don't do that. Don't say no. You're supposed to be, what is it? Not appealing, although yes, we're supposed to be appealing. Amenable. Yes, we're supposed to be amenable. So many words that describe what we're supposed to be as women. We're supposed to allow. We're supposed to succumb. We're supposed to let things happen, right? And to say no is the opposite of all of the things that we're taught to do as women. So that's why it's really hard. And for some of us, myself included, there have been situations where we have said no, and it didn't matter. We have actively said no. We have pushed, we have fought, we have tried really hard to say no, and that no meant nothing. And I know for me, when that happened, I felt like, well, now I'm afraid to say no, because if my no really doesn't matter, then what's the point in even saying it? So it's better to just go along and not have the horror of your no being ignored, because that is awful, than to just deal with it, right? So I'm talking about this because if we're going to reclaim our time, if we're going to reclaim a sense of balance, if we're going to reclaim what's important to us in our day-to-day life, then we have to be able to say no. And for some of us, it's a lot more difficult than for others. It was really hard for me to start saying no to certain things. And even if you start with a really small, really squeaky, really insecure no, that is a whole hell of a lot better than just having people trample all over you. You don't want that for your whole career, for your whole life, right? That is way worse than the alternative, which, a lot of times we think, well, if I say no, people are going to be mad at me. So what? Granted, I'm now in my 40s, and I've learned, like, you always hear, like, once you get to your 40s, people are like, oh no. I am there. I am living it. I can tell you, yes, I'm in my 40s, and oh no. Somebody's going to be mad at me. They're going to be mad at me. It's okay. That's a them problem. That's not a me problem. It took a long time to learn that. You can be mad at me. That's on you. That's not anything to do with me. Your anger, your frustration, that's because of something you're dealing with. It's not because of anything I've done, I've learned. Short of me, like, insulting you or punching you in the face or doing something like directly harmful to you, your anger with me, your frustration with me really has nothing to do with me. And I think that's something, like, that's a whole other thing that we could talk about. But that's something that people have to really look at and consider is, why are you mad? Because it's not about me, it's about you. Generally, when we get upset about things, it's not about the other person. It's about something inside of us that has been triggered, okay? So if you're afraid that someone's going to get mad at you, just know, if they do get mad, it's not about you. It's about them. Again, short of you, like, accosting them and doing something that is purposefully, harmful to that person. So say no. Practice saying no. Start out small. Even if it's, again, starting out with a stranger. Someone asks you, because what I've noticed, even I still do this. It's easier for me to say no to my family, actually, than it is for me to say no to strangers. So, for instance, I get a lot of comments about my hair, like, ooh, one day it was like you were bald, and then the next day, like, look at these flowing locks, and then another day you've got braids, and yada yada. And people are like, how do you change it up so much? Like, ladies and gentlemen, and those in between, I buy my hair in a box from the store, and then I put it on my head. But there are some times where I will want like a specific color for the style of hair. Like, I just bought these beautiful braids and I wanted them in a specific color. And I thought I had communicated that to the person who was working there. Apparently I did not, and she brought me the wrong color. And it was so hard. Like, I didn't tell her, no, that's the wrong color. I didn't. I bought the color that she gave me because it was so difficult for me to say, no, that's not right. And I know I'm here telling you guys, like, I'm in my 40s, but in that moment, I was like, this is a pretty color too. I couldn't say no, this is wrong. I was just like, that's not what I wanted. Right? That happens. And I have such a hard time with strangers saying no. People I work with, my family, I'm far more, authoritative with people I work with, right? When it comes to my job, to doing well, when it comes to being successful, and we've got to win the bid, I could say no. I could say no all day. Some people are like, stop saying no so much. Actually, I'm fine with that. And my husband will tell you that I'll say no to him a lot. Maybe a little too much. But a stranger, I don't know what it is. I can't say no to strangers, which is really bad. I don't know. I need to work on that myself. And that's something that I am going to be working on as I'm working through this reclamation, right? Everything's a process. Nothing is 100%. None of us are exactly where we want to be in every moment. Yeah. Blah. Yes. So we're working through it for sure. Me included. So how do we, all of us, get better at saying no? I think it's a matter of starting small. A few years ago, I practiced refraining from saying the word but and replacing it with the word and there are still times I catch myself saying but, and I have to, no, and. So maybe instead of no, if that's too hard, we replace it with another word. Maybe it's also. So when I was buying the hair that was the wrong color, I could have said, do you also have this in a different color, right? Instead of no, this is the wrong color. Could you also find me this other color that I'd like to see, right? I could have tried something like that. So I will work on doing that. And also, because I found, like, with but, saying and, it opens it up instead of closing things down. And that can be really difficult sometimes, to just shut a door. So instead of shutting the door and saying no, which is hard for some of us in certain situations, is what I'm realizing as I'm talking through this. It's not necessarily, in every situation. Maybe there are places for you too where, you're good at work, but in your personal life, you can't say no. Or in your personal life, you're good at saying no, but at work, you can't say no, right? So we have to look at that first. Where are you struggling with putting up those boundaries that are causing you to lose some of your personal self, your personal boundaries that are causing your work-life harmony to go out of whack, right? Because that's where I started this. Talking about work-life harmony. A lot of times it is saying no at work, right? We're saying yes to all of the tasks being assigned to us. Don't bite me. You're just biting me, nibbling. Little love nibbles. I get it. I love you too, but no. but we say yes to things being piled on. And in our personal life too, right? Family needs. They want us to do this and to do that and to go here and go there, and things get piled on and we don't say no. So we end up having a ton on our plate, either personally or professionally, or our friends, right? Friends want this, want that. Let's go here, let's do that. Maybe we don't have the time. Maybe we don't have the budget to do all of the things that everybody wants us to do. So how do we look at that, analyze, okay, what part of it is doing a little too much for me? I need to step back and analyze, where do I need to start saying no? Where do we say no to? And then maybe it's not the word no, if that's too hard to start with. Maybe it's also, can we consider alternatively? Yes, would you like alternatives? Perhaps we do something a little different this time, right? Grandma asks you to make some food and bring it over on the weekend, and you don't have time because maybe you do have to work, and that's a priority you want to focus on because you're looking to get a promotion. You tell grandma, hey, I love what we're doing. That sounds great. Also, I'm going to be working, so perhaps you can ask my sibling or my cousin or somebody else. Maybe we do this next weekend, right? As opposed to, no, I'm not going to do that. Because, yeah, that's hard to say to a relative. I could see that. Especially one that you love and you don't want to feel like you're disappointing them, right? So it's not necessarily starting with a no, but starting with an also, alternatively, mayhap. So, yeah, I think that's a good plan in our reclamation of our time, of our space. That's where we'll go.